Okay, it should be right. Hopefully I'm in the shot as much as you are.
Hello everyone. Today is Record Store Day, April 19th, 2014. And my name is Joyce Lopez.
I'm Kyle. I'm the one who maintains the All Media Reviews blog, among other things. But we just wanted to make a short, or I don't know how short this will be, video of our experience with Record Store Day in 2014. Just showing some of the stuff we picked up and maybe telling a story or two, if you want to do that. Because I think that's a lot of what happened in 2014 behind some of the items that were purchased.
Yes, this Record Store Day did not go as well planned as we had done previously in the past. This Record Store Day, we got off to a little bit of a late start.
Well, like previously, we've gone to Record Store Day and Black Friday Record Store Day, which is not as well visited, but still participated by some, and trying to arrive early, like a lot of the people trying to get those items. And today we didn't quite do that. We wanted to get breakfast before we went, and we did do that. But
yes, we got breakfast, but it didn't quite work out.
On Passover, I can't even eat bread still, of course, but. So that's the first moment that didn't go as planned, but
right. So we decided this year, because of last year, Kyle went to Electric Fetus to hang out, and I went to Cheapo in Uptown. So this year we decided we're going to go both to the same record store locations. Our first stop was Cheapo in St. Paul. What?
Yeah, okay, as we mentioned the lines, people waiting, we were thinking that of our past experience in like St. Paul as opposed to Minneapolis, people that are in this town wouldn't maybe know what we're talking about. Maybe they have their own towns, similar situations where a lot of people would crowd the Electric Fetus, Treehouse Records, and even Cheapo perhaps in Minneapolis. But the St. Paul side, not necessarily so much. We haven't seen. So we thought we'd go to St. Paul and maybe avoid some of the crowd. So
exactly. So we first started out at Cheapo in St. Paul, which is up on Snelling Avenue, and there was a huge line just to even purchase anything there, which that should have sent a red signal off to begin with. That I was not anticipating. I don't know if Kyle was, but the line was literally wrapped all the way around. There was a sign, a handmade sign saying, "Go in this way." They hadn't
done that at Cheapo that I recall. They did it at the Uptown Cheapo once or twice, but we were talking like in 2011, Cheapo, well, I love the place, wasn't even participating in Record Store Day.
Right,
so,
and that particular Cheapo was the Uptown one in Minneapolis.
But I think
all they had was a button and some candy to celebrate Record Store Day.
Things have changed in a short amount of time is more what we're saying. So
right.
So we went there thinking, okay, we're looking for, you had a few, 4 or 5 select items that you really wanted.
For this Record Store Day. Yes.
And think you'd maybe find them at Cheapo. And what did you find at Cheapo?
So the Cheapo in St. Paul, I found the Mayer Hawthorne side by side with, I'm going to mispronounce
the
this
Japanese artist.
Yes, it's Shintaro Sakimoto. Right. So Shintaro Sakimoto is covering Wine Glass Woman, which is off of the latest Mayer Hawthorne LP. And Mayer is covering In a Phantom Mood, which is the Japanese single. Right. Yeah. So I got this, which I was really happy about.
After waiting in line for...
Right. I mean, after waiting in line, not only that, but you had to like snake up front to even get to the singles, because all their 7-inch singles were behind the cash wrap counter on the shelves on the wall. Which I thought was weird because most of the other places just put them out there for you to select. But at this Cheapo in St. Paul, you actually had to go up there and say, "Hey, I'm looking for John Oates. I'm looking for Josh Rouse." Which, by the way, the Josh Rouse Autumn
Defense. Well, that's what we're going to get to.
They sold out. Yeah. And they didn't have the Jaded Incorporated, which is the other Mayer Hawthorne side project as well. Pretty cool vinyl. I'll be showing that to you in a little bit here.
But there's more to the story.
There's more to the story.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we got Mayer. Awesome.
I had that. So that was the only one on the list. There was one other on the list.
There was one other on the list, and this is Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings. This is a reissue on vinyl. The vinyl is blue. I'm not going to take it out yet because it's sealed. I'll do that probably a little bit later.
Another time.
Yeah, yes. Another time. But this is Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings. Dap Dippin' with Sharon Jones. So, very happy that I found this. I was also going to get the Outcast LP that was reissued recently. I decided to put that back just because it was like,
budget and their priorities and
Right. Yes. So those were the only two finds that I found at
our first stop.
At our first stop.
And at that point, you can also show them, even though it wasn't a record store day item, it was a record she's been looking for. So she ended up getting in with my help.
Yes. I did pick up.
If we can,
Aloe Blacc.
Aloe Blacc's
newest
newest
LP.
So that was a, still something you're glad you got, and they I don't know how many copies they've got. They've had it for, I don't know, that came out a few months ago maybe, right? Like in, this was the one. Oh, that's right. Yes. We had this discussion not on camera, but this came out in the U.S. finally about a month ago in March.
Right. But this was released in the U.K. on digital and CD.
Was it actually released on vinyl though?
That I don't know. I can't
This
confirm.
might have been just recently released.
Yeah, this might have been just recently released. Right, so. But yes, I got the Aloe Blacc. This is Lift Your Spirit LP. Great LP. Take a listen if you can. Download it, stream it. Give Aloe Blacc a chance.
Yes. But you were thinking, where's all my stuff? So that our second stop was going to be at this place in downtown St. Paul. On the St. Paul location.
Yes, Eclipse.
Eclipse Records off Wabasha Street. Mm-hmm. Thinking, okay, they didn't have Mayor Hawthorne, the Triangle, Jaded Incorporated. They didn't have the Josh Rouse, but maybe Eclipse would.
Right, because last year, Eclipse actually had several of the Josh Rouse 7-inch singles.
Right.
Because, as once again last year, Electric Fetus would only allow you to... They do. Electric Fetus has a policy where you're only allowed to buy one copy of each Record Store Day item.
I think
total 12.
That's going to be pretty much a standard for most record stores, though.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think it's going to be a standard now. That isn't necessarily the case.
Which really kind of be unfortunate in one sense, because let's say you wanted one and you wanted to buy one for like a gift for someone. Mm-hmm. Well, what do you do?
Right. At Fetus, you're not allowed to. You're only allowed one item of a record store
your friend or your parent to buy it. Then
exactly.
I guess,
and you're only allowed a total of 12 items, which... In all fairness, I think is
that.
Yes, it's only
a net total like
a net total of 12 items, which I think is probably a fair cutoff. But on one hand, just as you were saying, Kyle, if you wanted to buy one copy for yourself and then give it as another copy as a gift, you really can't do it. You actually have to do a buddy system, like, hey. Right. You pick up the same copy, I'll pick up,
Your only solution is going to another store or later on. I mean, what if there are people that want to have two copies, one that's like a mint copy and one they actually listen to?
Right, and that's what happened to Josh Rouse last year, is that I've got a copy at Fetus. We went down to Eclipse downtown St. Paul for Wabasha, and I think you picked up a copy.
Oh, of Josh Rouse. Yeah, I may have the Josh Rouse.
So it was like, yay!
At the time, it seemed like it was still... something neat to have, but I'll say I think I've seen that 7-inch single still in the used or in the the cutout bins at some of these stores still at Electric Fetus, and so I don't know how rare the new one though is with the Autumn Defense, and he's covering a Fleetwood Mac song you mentioned, or a Lindsey Buckingham.
He's covering Lincoln Buncey, Buckingham,
so.
As I trip over my words.
But so we went to Eclipse and they didn't have either of them.
They didn't have the Josh Rouse. They'd only gotten one copy of the Jaded Incorporated, and I'm just thinking, really? Mm-hmm. So where do I have to go to find this stuff? However, I did pick up some stuff at Eclipse, and so did Kyle.
I picked up a couple items. I'll just show briefly. They're not uber rare or anything like that. Yeah. Being the Marillion fan, I was impressed to see they even had any Marillion. Mm-hmm. And this is not that rare, but this is a UK import version of the Reel to Reel EP. The Fish Period, both the Fish Period. Most of the Marillion stuff you find in stores, sadly, is just the Fish stuff. But this is an actual UK version. And then their first record, which I don't see very much either, but I also picked up a copy of that. It's just being I love Marillion, I want to find copies, and they weren't excessively expensive, but it was something. But again, it wasn't enormous score per se.
Right, and once again, it was not an enormous score for me for any Record Store Day items, or anything really in general, at Eclipse Records. However, I did pick up 2 items.
We can mention that
they actually have now a 12-inch single section. So,
which is new, I believe, at Eclipse.
Yeah, which
people
is newer,
that have gone to
right, who haven't gone there. Cheapo, both in Uptown. I mean, they don't have a section. Right, Minneapolis, but they do have a lot of 12-inch, vinyl, full length.
Scattered and
the recent arrivals. Amongst the newest arrivals. The Cheapo in St. Paul on Snelling used to have a whole section dedicated just to the 12-inch singles, which is what I loved. And that's what I loved about Cheapo in St. Paul.
A lot of collectors love those.
Right. However, due to space, because they've now merged from across the street where they used to have their CD collection, and now they put their CD collection with their vinyl collection, due to unforeseen space issues, all of that stuff is in storage. So, let me get to the point. This is what I picked up at Eclipse Records. I picked up Paula Abdul, Knocked Out, which this is a 12-inch single off of her first album before Paula Abdul started going crazy. But yes, cool, love it.
And you've been looking, was it that one? Oh, this is the one that you've been looking for.
Yeah, this is actually the one I've been looking for quite a bit. This is Javier. He most recently was on The Voice in about maybe 2011 or so, and he did win that competition. I've never watched The Voice, never watched American Idol.
Just so happens.
Just so happens.
You knew him before that, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah. What had happened was he had a record deal beforehand, this is his first album. He has probably a total of 3 albums now, but 2 off of major labels. And this was his debut album. It was awesome. This was played all the time on BET, VH1 Soul, which I don't think VH1 still has their Soul dedication hour or channel anymore. But when they did,
surprised me
they featured Javier quite a bit. He was awesome. His first album, great. Trying to find it on vinyl, difficult. So,
the three
this is the first single, Crazy, off of his self-titled album. And
no artwork, but still, it's probably pretty rare.
Right, it's pretty rare, and, for the price that I got it at, I'm happy with.
A DJ
right,
edit.
it's DJ edit, so awesome. So I did find 2 items at Eclipse, but still not the Record Store items
not exactly
really
still what the hopes for.
Right.
Then we went up to Fifth Element. Now, one of the main things you were looking for, thinking that wouldn't be necessarily the groveling kind of item that people would be going for, but it was a special item this year, was this turntable.
The Peanuts turntable.
And there's a place called Fifth Element that we went then next.
Right. Who actually did a YouTube video, posted it online and said, hey guys, we're going to be getting in the Peanuts turntable. Come on down. Well, yeah, they got the Peanuts turntable. 12 of them sold out.
This were like 2+ hours after the start of Record Store Day doors had opened, so...
Right.
All of them, 12
portable record players, turntables.
We're gone.
Out the door.
So, and that still remains the one item this year that you didn't track down.
It's the elusive Record Store item that I have not gotten yet.
As a friend of mine said, the odds of being able to find one of those at some point online, even at a store perhaps, we didn't go to all the stores we could have.
Right.
It's not completely impossible, so,
So there's still hope. I still have my fingers crossed.
But it didn't happen. Yes. We were at Fifth Element for all of about 10 minutes, and after we found out that stuff and the other stuff you were looking for wasn't there.
Of course, the other reason to go to Fifth Element, aside from the Peanuts turntable, was the fact that Fifth Element hip-hop, owned by, what is it, Atmosphere.
Yeah, so all the, I know the Doomtree people, yes.
Which are all local hip-hop rap artists community within Minneapolis and St. Paul. Mainly Minneapolis, so Twin Cities. But thinking that because they're hip-hop, rap, DJ-esque, of all places, I totally believed that they were going to have the Jaded Incorporated. It made perfect sense. I walk right in the door, I asked the salesman, did you guys get in Jaded Ink? No, we didn't get any copies of Jaded Ink in. I was literally like, no. I was so just...
We've only been to Fifth Element a couple times, but
yes.
have you ever, do you know for certain that they have carried Mayor Hawthorne's music in the past.
Yes,
okay.
yes. Fifth Element has carried Mayor Hawthorne's music because Mayor Hawthorne used to be on Stone Throw's label. That's a major avant-garde alternative, but they also have a hardcore rap and hip-hop community artists that are featured on Stone's Throw. Big time.
And Fifth Element was pretty crowded just when I was in there for a few minutes. So.
Right. And I'm willing to go back to Fifth Element because they probably have some, DJ soul hip hop stuff that I might be looking for that they may be the only ones in town to carry. And I found out a little too late about the Chuck English and Chromeo Record Store Day item that also came out. Chuck English, rap hip hop guy who had a bunch of colored 7-inch vinyl that came out with different collaborations from different artists. One of the artists was Chromeo. Found out about it, on YouTube hours after we got home and thought, you know what? Probably hit that up for another day.
So at this point, we're kind of the wind in our sails has pretty much gone by the wayside. But I just thought, well, let's stop at Cheapo to see the Cheapo in Uptown in Minneapolis to see maybe they would have something. And there were a couple items that were on the Record Store Day list that I was just curious, and I hadn't spent time looking at the other stores, even though I probably wasn't going to buy the Dream Theater picture disc and Opeth's Watershed and. So we went in there for a few minutes. Again, they didn't have what she was looking for.
No, and at this point now, not only was I feeling defeated, but I was just feeling at my lowest of low. I was thinking there's no chance at all in the Twin Cities, not in the suburb areas. As Kyle was suggesting that we probably hit up some of the other record stores.
And
Discland, Roadrunner,
right. The Blaine Cheapo.
Yeah, No Name.
But the one thing I remember you saying is, this doesn't make any sense for Jaded Incorporated. They only have 50 likes on Facebook.
Yes. Jaded Incorporated may have more than 50 likes at this point, probably after
today's. But
right. But the whole point
why are people buying this thing if they only have 50 people on Facebook that know who they are?
Well, and the thing is I knew this was going to be a limited pressing. Record Store Day has their website, and they always list how many copies are printed. However, they don't really... how many physical copies are printed. But you don't know what stores are going to get the copy, and you don't know how the quantity of the store is going to get. So that's really like
a luck of the draw.
Yeah,
it's a crapshoot. It's like
I lose, I win.
If you really want to get all this stuff, you got to get a team of people, and you all go to one store.
Right. Right. Which it didn't work out this year.
It's not a perfect system.
No,
I mean, there's a little charm to it in that it's sort of random and you get to sort of get the excitement of finding it. But there's no real reliability. I would say 3 or 4 years ago when this stuff was coming out, the mob mentality really wasn't existing at these stores, even at the Electric Fetus, not to what it is right now. But what can you do? You can either just forget about it or just go with the flow and hope to find it.
Right.
But I did pick up, personally, I'd say I happen to love the band Foals, and they actually put out a Record Store Day item, I believe, at Black's Friday. I never even picked up, so I still have to. But they did put out a live album also, this Live at the Royal Albert Hall, which I was noticing is almost the identical set list to the set list of the concert I saw last May or June, and they're going to be on tour again. They're touring really soon with Cage the Elephant. So I picked this up. I figured I'd buy something at Cheapo, at one of the Cheapos. So, but still, we're sort of buying secondary items still, and we're thinking we're gonna go home. She's got other stuff she's got to do. I might try to track some of this stuff down in the suburbs. Driving a couple 100 miles a day. But then she mentioned something to me.
Yes, and then I said, you know what? Let's go to the Electric Fetus. Let's go there. We know it's gonna be mob. We know it's hipster central. But I thought, if anybody was going to have what I really wanted in a large quantity, it had to be Fetus. At least I had to give it a shot.
And what time is it? It's about 11:30.
It's about 11:30 at this point.
Like 2.5, 3 hours after
they opened. The mass amount of people that would just swoop on to Electric Fetus were gone. So like the 400 people that were standing, took a number and stood in line just so they could get to the Record Store Day items and look through stuff. All those people had by then vanished, which was a good thing. Apparently, the first people in line had parked or camped out at the Electric Fetus at 7:30 p.m.
last night on Friday night.
In order to be the first people in the door. Not gonna happen. Ever.
No, I mean,
not gonna do that.
Compromise
ever.
your hours and just for those items, but.
Right. So I still had to wait in line. It wasn't like.
Well, there were still a lot of people there at 11:30 noon whenever we were there,
right.
But normally the line to get the access to it goes back a ways, and if you get a number, you're gonna wait 1, 2, 3 hours potentially.
Right.
And I dropped you off and then parked and came in, and you were already in line.
Oh yes.
And it was probably you waited maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah, about 20 minutes.
About 20 minutes, probably.
Yes. And so as soon as I finally got up to the point where they're like, enter in, you can look at the record store items. I got the Josh Rouse and Autumn Defense single. There was a gentleman who was ahead of me who actually grabbed a copy, and I said, dude, can you give me a copy? He's like, yeah, there were like 7 copies there. And then I could tell that Kyle was just kind of standing there. He wasn't really going to go in. And he's like, oh, by the way, did you guys get the Jaded Incorporated? And yes, they have the Jaded Incorporated. What is so special about this is the fact that, as you can tell, it's in the shape of a triangle. But it also glows in the dark.
Which, this probably did happen, but we were thinking, some people probably purchased that thing, and just based on the fact it's triangular and it glows in the dark. Now, there's a record store video that this gentleman in Portland, Maine, that I like his videos every year he does. He goes through a lot of the items, a lot of cool novelty type concepts. This thing nowhere to be found in his video for whatever reason. So.
Right. And, I understand that Jaded Incorporated, it's a duo. It's Mayor.
It is Mayor Hawthorne still.
Right. It's still Mayor Hawthorne. It's another side project of his because God only knows how many side projects he's got going. But, he's a prolific artist, so I expect it. Anyways, I did know that Eclipse in downtown St. Paul had gotten in 1 copy. 1. And it was gone by the time we got there.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we failed to mention, just backtracking, Eclipse Records opened at 10 o'clock, not 9 o'clock, but we got there long after 10 o'clock. We got there like 10:30.
Right, 30 minutes.
Still.
Gone.
Yeah, it was a long line there too, so.
Gone, right. Yes, but Jaded Ink, awesome. Yeah.
So that's why the story is interesting.
Rouse, awesome. Yes, and he is covering Lindsey Buckingham song, Trouble.
So that's the gist of a lot of the drama. We could maybe briefly add, at least I personally, there's a new record store that opened up about a month ago. They didn't exactly participate in Record Store Day in that they weren't carrying the Record Store Day, special release items.
Right.
But 2 of them actually. But the one that I was really looking forward to just going back to, known as Agartha Records, just opened up on University Avenue, right near 280 in St. Paul. Really like St. Paul and Minneapolis, but they are carrying a lot of items. You put it best actually that a lot of people might have to only be able to find on eBay or your music stack or a CD and LP or Discogs.com, but you don't have to pay for the shipping. So I found a couple items. The second time I've only gone there and I found some rare items. One being Faith No More's The Real Thing. I don't have any Faith No More vinyl, but now I do. And this is and then King's X's 3rd record, Faith, Hope, Love. So while I didn't have a lot of choice items that were Record Store Day items per se, I still scored in terms of rarity. I also did order the Mew record, Frengers, which comes out in June. It's a pink colored vinyl, but that's not a Record Store Day item either. So I didn't go to England, of course, to order the new 6th, Death and a Dead Day, I believe it is, or the Anathema picture disc, but those were Record Store items in England, like the Chromeo.
Right, just like the Chromeo single that just got released. It's with Ezra, who's from, is it Vampire Weekend?
Yeah.
Yes. That was a UK only. So if you're in the Netherlands, awesome, you could pick up Chromeo. I, who live in the United States of America, no.
I mean, I'm sure there's certain items that we had access to, and in other years that those the Record Store Days in those countries don't have access to. I guess Rush put out something. I can't find it online, but that was maybe only in Canada or something.
Right. So. And I'll just quickly say that one thing I did get from Agartha is the Marvin Gaye Let's Get It On. This is the edit and extended version of Let's Get It On. This is promoting, there's going to be a new Motown Legends release. And so they're, once again, reissuing a lot of stuff on vinyl that either, didn't get the 180 gram treatment the first time around for obvious reasons. So I thought this was pretty cool, and for the price, you really couldn't go wrong. Agartha Records really is,
catering toward the collector like us, you know.
Yes,
and
catering towards the collector, exactly. So I still have yet to find some place within the Twin Cities, even within Minnesota, that really caters to my...
Well, we're just mentioning, like, the fact that the owner of this guy named Dylan Adegarda is a fan of, like, Dredge and with the King's X and a bunch of other bands I love. If the owner of the store is into the music you like, there's a good chance the stuff they're going to be selling is going to be stuff you're looking for.
Right.
You, unfortunately, are looking for the...
I'm looking for more the pop, soul, you know...
Spice Girls fan
right,
owner.
a lot of the popular stuff per se, but nonetheless, you know, the deeper cuts. I'm not necessarily looking for, you know, George Michael's Faith. I have that. I have the album and I have the single. You know, I'm talking about, you know, like George Michael's stuff from the 90s, that a lot of that stuff is over in the UK. That was just very prolific and, you know, produced over there. But finding it here, not so much. Same thing with Spice Girls. Anything really by the Spice Girls is I'm running into a lot of trouble finding and locating. But, you know, that's my taste. So, but, you know, then again, you know, I love Josh Rouse.
We did find Lenny Kravitz there, but again...
Yes,
that's a rock artist. You're looking for the pop artists that are releasing those 12-inch singles that did back in the 80s and 90s.
Right.
Unfortunately, in Minneapolis and St. Paul, we don't know where that record owner is right now.
No, but if they're out there,
I'd
love to talk to you, Facebook you,
right.
Twitter, whatever social media aspect, call, if that's, you know, text.
It's like when we were at Eclipse where they were doing like a remix of Girl You Know It's True or whatever. It's like...
Yes.
Yeah, so... Where's that record seller who's selling that stuff? Some guy was just DJing, playing it.
Right, who had it. And maybe, I mean, I could talk to the DJ, but he owns it. It's not as if he sells it. But no, and, you know, I did come across, as mentioned earlier, the Outcast. I did pick it up. We did come across the Wizard of Oz record store day item.
Original soundtrack.
Right.
There were a number of items that I was... Dresden Dolls was just a red double vinyl, the first Dresden Dolls record. You know... You gotta prioritize, I guess. You know, and some of that stuff I, you know, can't justify spending, even though I spent a lot more money on some of these other items. But those are records I love, as opposed to like, if you want to equate the difference in your budget.
I did come across the Ghostbusters vinyl.
Well, the picture disc.
Yeah, the picture disc, the 12-inch, which also glows in the dark too. That was much talked about and hyped on Record Stores Day website, and you'd see it pop up in a lot of stories and Facebook feeds. I didn't come across it, so those of you who are looking for it, awesome, best of luck. I don't know if you're going to find it, because I didn't see anybody have that. Like I also mentioned earlier, John Oates put out a 7-inch 12...
The white denim, you wanted the white... You're thinking about the white denim with Jamie Lydell.
Jamie Lydell, he did a remix. At first I thought when you say remix, you're just taking the song and adding your own touch to it, but actually Jamie...
He sang it.
He sang it next. Not only did he actually remix the actual musical composition, but he put his own vocal on it.
Well, the thing is, it's like that one they had at Eclipse. I saw 2, 3, 4, 5 copies.
Oh, yes.
I don't know, but I just have a feeling if we go back to Eclipse in a couple weeks, we're still going to see 1 or 2 copies there. Just a feeling, you know?
Right. However, I didn't see the Django. I did see it at the St. Paul Cheapo. They had the Django. It was a little too pricey for me. It was like $10, $11 for a white picture. Well, it wasn't a white. It was just a white disc. Right. They're covering the Monkees' Porpoise song, so obviously that would have been something that I would have liked to have had.
It's not your favorite Monkees song.
Not my favorite Monkees song.
But being the Monkees completist, you might be.
But being the Monkees completist that I am, I probably might get it. And it might still probably be at the St. Paul Cheapo, or, you know, it'll probably be at one of the record stores. But those are items that I passed on. So. But,
you know, an interesting story. We've had other record store day experiences which were different, but, you know, worth a memory and certainly worth the purchase for this year. But hopefully everyone else found a lot of stuff you're looking for. If not, maybe you'll find something next time you go to a record store. But thanks for watching this video if you do find it somehow. I don't know if this is the only time we're going to be doing these kind of videos, or we might do some interview stuff in the future as a series, because I know you have a few opinions that you could express to some people out there in cyberland.
Yes, I have more than a few. So, but yeah, hopefully everyone had a good record store day, and we'll see you next year. Bye.